Okay, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna do another video similar to the one that I did the other day, but today's topic is gonna be: can we find a good $5,000 car on Marketplace? Like, this would be like, if you have a kid that you're trying to get their first car, or if you're just someone who's just looking for a good, reliable, basic transportation vehicle, and you're not going to go get a car loan, which is what most anyone will tell you is the best way to go. So we want to take a look. We're going to use Marketplace again, and I'm going to kind of search for something kind of specific. So I think we're going to go ahead and do like minimum of 3,000. Actually, we'll do a minimum of 2,000 up to like 6,500. And I think I'm going to go ahead and kind of put in something, we'll say 15 years old, so 2025, so 2010 as the minimum, and we'll probably just cap it at like 2022 or something, just to try to, I don't know, try to weed out as much of the fluff as we can. This is getting my attention right here. Is just showing a picture of a wrecked car. I'm not even going to look at that because we're going to try to actually keep this one a little bit focused. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. Okay. So I'm not going to even look at anything that doesn't have if I can see that it does not have a tag on the car, I'm not even going to look at it. And the reason why is because this is basically almost guaranteed to be a car flipper. I know this because there was a time that I was a car flipper. The vehicles that I sold, I actually put a lot of effort into, and I would actually fix everything that was wrong with the car. And I was trying to only buy cars that I knew were decent, like a Corolla, or I had a Hyundai Elantra, things like that. And I would actually even get the cars inspected, or make sure that, and I wouldn't do it. I think one time I did do it myself, but that isn't something I'd recommend. So anybody buying the car from me was getting a pretty decent vehicle that was already inspected. They could just go and get the thing registered and no problem. But most people are not going to be doing that. So I'm not going to put in search parameters yet. We're just going to go with the price range. And, you just look down this list. Like this right here, this is just junk. Like, I'm not even going to click on that one. That's not a good vehicle for anyone to buy. Here you've got Ford Taurus Show, which is kind of cool. It's got the EcoBoost V6 in it. 180,000 miles. For a Ford Taurus, that's getting pretty close to the end of the line for most things on it. We're not going to be looking at anything like a German, no luxury cars, at least for the most part, because it's just not something good for, if you're looking for cheap, reliable, easy to maintain maintenance. Let's click on this Infiniti. Not that I think that Infiniti is good, but okay, right there. No titles. So that's why that one is so cheap. Let's look at this Hyundai Genesis. I don't actually have a lot of experience with Genesis cars. They got 4,500 on the window. Yeah, there's no tag. Doesn't really look that bad. Ready to roll 4,000. Yeah, so it's a car flipper. I mean, this guy, he's got a bunch of junk in his yard. He's that type of, he's a car flipper type. It's a little bit of a different one. He's more of a Millersville. Is that down near? Yeah, it's kind of down near near some water. So he's a little different kind. We're gonna stay away from it just because of the fact that it looks like it's a car flipper. You want to try to find the car that has been owned by the seller for at least a few years. So they've got some legitimate history with it, and like they can tell you something about it, not just whatever they know from a couple of weeks of ownership because they bought it at an auction or they picked it up on Marketplace, and maybe they washed it and then they list it right back up again to try to make $500 or $1,000 or whatever it is. And I think that's what half of these listings are. Let's see, we got a 2013 Honda Pilot with 90K. Seller's description. Runs good, clean title. See, it's just when they only put such a minimal description. And again, the first picture is of the backup camera. Like, why can't we put this as the first picture? Like, this isn't really rocket science. Now, this is definitely a car lot. If you're buying it from a car lot, you're going to have at least some recourse if you get the car and it's completely unsafe or something like that. Like, this car has to have been Maryland State inspected if they're selling it at a dealer in Maryland. So there's at least that. It doesn't look too bad. The miles are decent. Looks like it. I think those are cloth seats. No power. So yeah, decent. The only thing with Hondas, especially the larger SUVs and like minivans like the Odyssey with the V6, is you got to be real careful with the transmissions on these. This probably has a bad transmission or one that is on its way out. I would be willing to bet a significant amount that if I drove this car for 10 or 15 minutes, I would feel the transmission flare up or just act funny or something. I've just seen it too many times. It's a good vehicle other than that, but you do have to be real careful with Honda transmissions, especially anything that has a V6. GMC Terrain, I would not mess with that. We got another Honda Pilot for way less, same year, but also double the miles. So same thing, could potentially have a bad transmission. 2014 Tacoma with 112,000. It looks like this is a dealer of some kind. We accept your vehicle as payment. Warranty on our vehicles. Inbox for more information. We are specialists in Toyota and Honda. So it is some type of dealer. I honestly don't think that you can buy that truck for $4,500. Especially not 2014. I mean, for a Tacoma, that's like new. I mean, it's a manual. which I don't like. I hate these manuals in all honesty. Like I would rather just have an automatic in a Tacoma, but that's just me. Um, I just don't, if you like driving a manual, to me, this is not the good one to buy. Like it just doesn't shift that great. I don't know. But, to each their own. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you're going to get there and this is going to be a lot more than that. I kind of feel like this truck would be double that in reality. Um, yeah, any Chevy Equinox with that many miles is, it's not something that's going to just be trouble free for any real length of time. Hyundai Tucson. They want 5,500. Engine and transmission are good. No mechanical issues. Good on gas. Clean title. Drives perfectly. New brakes and rotors. Double sunroof. Keyless entry. In Woodbridge. I think there's an auto auction in Woodbridge. Although this does... I can see there was a tag on it. I do like Hyundais. Hyundais are definitely not Toyota or Honda reliability. I actually just the other day was up at there's a Hyundai dealership in conjunction with the Lexus dealership that I work at, and I was trying to help one of the guys up there program a Kia on his mom's Sequoia. And I was just kind of telling him that, just to make small talk. I was like, yeah, my buddy just bought a new Santa Fe. And I was like, I tried to get him to buy a Highlander, but he just really liked the look of the Santa Fe. And without any pause, and this guy has worked on Hyundais for at least since another dealership. Like he's been here for like a year or so, and he was at another dealer for several years. That was also Hyundai. And without hesitation, he's like, he should have bought a Highlander. It's going to be way more reliable. And I was like, okay. My wife and her mom both had two 2009 Hyundai Sonatas. One had a V6 and one has a 4-cylinder. Unfortunately, my wife's with the V6 was totaled about 6 years ago. So that is no longer with us, but it was very reliable. Had over 100K on it. Never had any issues with it besides just doing brakes and tires and routine maintenance. My mother-in-law's car has over 150, 160 on it, still running good. She's definitely had some issues with hers, but nothing major, nothing engine or transmission related. It was things like it needed a charcoal canister, I think twice in its life for the evap system. It's needed a starter. I think all 4 brake calipers have been replaced. The door handle just broke in the last month. I had to replace that. I don't know, just little things. But overall, it's decent. And I put these cars over a bunch of other cars, like anything domestic. I would put it over that, at least as a whole. Now this car, there's a wrench sitting on the passenger seat. That's a weird thing to see in a picture. And sunglasses. It's a very big wrench. It's like what they probably would have used if they were doing an alignment on it. I'm just guessing though. The only thing with Hyundai to really kind of look out for is the years, and this is in that range. I don't know what engine this has, but if they have the 2.4 GDI, which is gasoline direct injection, the 2.4 liter direct injected engine, you want to be a little hesitant because they definitely like to go boom. I think there was a extended warranty on these where people are getting them replaced, but just knowing someone who's worked at the Hyundai dealer, and then we have one next to us. They're doing engines all the time. And it's not just that engine. Another friend of mine has it actually might be this car. It's a Tucson, and I think it's a little newer. I'm getting too far ahead of myself here. It's a little newer than that one, and his engine went out before 100K, but it was replaced because Hyundai does have that 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. And from what I understand, if you were the original owner of that said Hyundai and your engine, and you go to the dealer and have your service done, even if you don't, but generally they will what they call goodwill that for that person. You know, the good customer, I'm doing air quotes, that buys the car new from the dealership and brings the car in for all its maintenance on time. They will take care of that customer, and that is also the kind of the Lexus way as well. Toyota to a similar degree, but not quite as much as Lexus. But generally, dealerships have what's known as a goodwill. It's kind of a pool of money, if you will, that they get to use at their discretion to help out their good customers, where they're not paying for it at the dealership level, but it's being paid for from the manufacturer level. And if you have a good customer that is always coming in with their vehicles, doing all the recommendations, and their vehicle is outside of warranty and their transmission goes, there's a very good chance that they will at least get that covered in part. Like, maybe they get like half the price of it, or maybe the part will be paid for, but then they just have to pay for the labor kind of thing. Okay, I don't want to get too far off topic, but that is something. All right. I kind of like to look for something that has a little bit lower miles on it. What about this? 2015 Accord for $4,000. It's at someone's house. There's no tag on the front. Well, there's a tag on the back. Says it's in DC. But you know what? Again, I don't think the 2015s had these taillights. I had one of these on the last video where they said it was a 14. I think it had the same wheels and same lights. Pretty positive that this facelift started in like 16. So it's a scam. Oh, it's got those fake leather seat covers. So yellow right there. I don't know. I think it's the car behind it that's in the reflection. Yeah, it's saying one owner, perfect condition, runs 100. So here it says it has 105,000. Up here it says it has 127,000. Did we see the odometer? I can't make it out. I don't think it's either of these numbers, but I can't see it. Yeah, that looks pretty suspect to me. What about the Sonata? This is definitely going to have one of those bad engines, though. So it looks like it has I think that's a PA plate behind there. We're in Pennsylvania. Still runs great. Just has some minor problems like an oil leak. Some very minor marks on the hood. Title's in my name. I just need to find out how to get it. The title's in your name, but you need to find out how to get it. Feel free to give me some offers, but I will not go for low balls. And please don't ask if it's still available. I think this is a legitimate car, and I kind of feel like with that many miles, the engine must be okay. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes getting a higher mileage car is good because it's like, if it's made it this far and it's still in good shape, it still drives okay, it kind of had to have been taken pretty decent care of. This one, just with the title issue, it's probably not worth it because he's probably, I don't know. There's something going on there. Why do you not have the title? This cannot possibly be real for that price. Yeah, this is another one with a dealership. I think they're just trying to, in Woodbridge. They're just trying to get you in the door, but there's no way you're going to get a 16 Tacoma? That's he says the double cab, but that's the crew cab. This picture is of a limited. So that's like the top trim level. It's got, the nicer interior. I don't think honestly, with only 105 on it, I don't think you get this truck for much less than like 15 to 20. So they're just trying to get people in the door to kind of bait and switch them. This Odyssey with that many miles, you'd really want to make sure that transmission was good. Like maybe it's already been replaced. Possible. This one, they're showing that it has valid inspection stickers. 2012 Santa Fe. This is in PA. PA has annual inspections, which is good because you can see, you can kind of see like if the car's been sitting because it's going to have expired ones. Even if they take the plates off, you can just look at the window and see like how long it's been off the road for, or if it's still got a valid. Yeah, this is a dealer. Got the dealer plate on there. Not too bad. The dealer is one thing. What we're kind of trying to look for is a legitimate car that an owner is selling that they've had for a while. The Ford Fiesta, you want to stay away from those with automatics because from what I've heard, they're pretty terrible. ...2019 Mitsubishi Eclipse. I think this is what they call the Eclipse Cross, which is just stupid. I don't know why they call them. They only got one picture. Price listed as a down payment for our rent-to-own program. Yeah, no thanks. Kia Sportage, decent car, 2014. You have a picture of the engine on here? No pictures of the engine. It's got a tire light on. There it is. Yeah, so this has got that GDI 2.4. Gotta be real careful with these. I probably would just stay away from them unless it's like your only option, and you can just kind of verify that have a pre-purchase inspection done maybe on something like this. You can try to see any kind of history on it. I really wouldn't mess with any Nissan. I just with their CVT, especially from 2012, I think the earlier the worse they are with the CVTs, and I know that has a CVT. Versa, they're they're just basic transportation, but they're also Nissans, so it's like I'd probably do this over the Mitsubishi Mirage, but you know, that wouldn't be it. To be better than a Mitsubishi Mirage as far as like a nice vehicle, like luxuriousness wise, the Versa is light years ahead of a Mirage. What I got here? 2010 Outback 3.6R. So that would be a 6-cylinder. They're not V6s. It's a horizontally opposed, or an H6. Yes, it's available. Best deal on marketplace considering year manufacturer trim. Blah blah blah. Come see for yourself. Like new 6-cylinder engine, all-wheel drive. Everything works. The other thing I want to say, no car is perfect. When they're saying that everything works like it should, there's no way. Now, you know, I'm also the person that's going to notice more things wrong than maybe the average person, because this is what I do. When I bought my ES, I'm literally testing everything that I can possibly think of when I was on the test drive. And I found on the test drive that my passenger side mirror did not work. There was no power functions, and I was able to get that included in in my purchasing of the car. There was one or two other little things too that I was able to negotiate, but you gotta just kind of know what to look for, and you kind of just have to go through and just run everything, like all the windows, you know, check the mirrors, check the AC, make sure that the fan motor sounds like it should, not too noisy. You know, get out and listen to the engine while it's idling and warming up. How does it sound? Any car that's this old, this is a 15-year-old car, you know, miles isn't that bad, but there's something broken on this car, I guarantee you. It could be something really stupid. Does the radio work? You know, radios in newer cars, if they don't work, it can be really expensive. If they have an amp that's like under the seat, generally any car that has kind of the updated or the upgraded audio system, on Lexus, it's the Mark Levinson. And even if it doesn't have the Mark Levinson on Lexus, sometimes there's still an amp, an external amp under the passenger seat. And you know, another reason why you don't buy flood cars. But, you know, if you have a sunroof drain leak, for example, the water can pull up on the floor near things like the amp. That can get very expensive because it's like a dealer-only type of a part. Subarus are pretty good cars. I don't know a whole lot about them, but the one thing I do know is that at a certain age, and I do think that this 2010 would kind of fall in that range, they had a lot of head gasket issues. I don't know about the 6-cylinder, though. Those may have mostly been the 4-cylinder engines that had that issue. So that's one thing you'll be on the lookout for if you're buying a Subaru. I think other than that, they're pretty good cars. You know, I mean, I think I just saw that at least for this year or last year, 2024, Subaru beat out Toyota and Lexus as being the most reliable brand. So, you know, they're definitely not bad. And I mean, the price isn't too terrible. It has a plate on it, you know, so it might actually be somebody's car. Honda Fit 229. It's a Honda, so, you know, kind of doing a little walk around. Seller's description is nice. That's literally all they give you. in Philadelphia, in Philly. One of my coworkers is from Philly, so we normally look for any opportunity to kind of trash talk Philly. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we do, but those intake runners look pretty gnarly. Can't tell if it's a dent right there or not. 2012. This is like I think the is this the first? No, this might be the second gen. It's got a Texas plate on it, blazing in Philadelphia. And up here we got a New York plate. Now, New York is at least somewhat close to Philly. I mean, compared to Texas. But seat's all tore up. I mean, that's 229,000 miles. I don't know. That doesn't really seem like something too good. There you got a Mirage for $5,000. It's just stay away from these. These things are just like these are like buying like a new. If you did buy a new one, I mean, this is 2021. I mean, okay, it is 4 years old, but to me, that's pretty new. Not the miles though. You're basically buying a brand new 20-year-old car. Like this is about a 2005 level of like economy car. Like if you bought like a 2005 Toyota Yaris, actually the 2005 Toyota Yaris would drive more luxuriously than this. I can tell you that. These have a 3-cylinder engine. I think it's like 70 horsepower. It's a CVT. Just terrible, like noisy, anything you can think of. Just stay away from these if you at all costs. It's not that they're unreliable. So if you just really don't care about anything other than reliability, then okay, it's fine. But they're also not like that great. They're just average. They're not going to be like the best thing. You see, no plate, no plate, no plate. Well, it's a Beamer. We're not looking at that. No plate. Virginia does have front plates. Yeah, stay away from an Altima. Chrysler. Yeah, no. What's this? Honda Fit. Another Honda Fit. It's got a manual. That's kind of cool. This is the down payment is what they're saying. So you don't know what the actual price is. It's got some aftermarket wheels on it. Got a Hyundai Genesis Coupe Turbo. These had either a 2-liter turbo or I think it was a 3.8 liter V6. I remember driving one brand new when they first came out. It was this guy has 2 of them. He likes them so much. It was right when we bought my wife and I bought her Hyundai Sonata in 2009. These had just come out, and when I went back to pick up the tags for the car, I asked the salesman if I could take one of these out, and honestly, I didn't really like it that much. I drove the V6 with the manual, which was rated for 300 horsepower, which is exactly the same rating that at the time I still had my 2007 335i with a 6-speed manual that was also rated at 300 horsepower. And I can tell you right now, this car felt slow AF compared to the Beamer. While it was nicer feeling inside than the Sonata, like it felt a little bit more premium than that, it definitely left something to be desired, and they're no longer made. You can't get the coupe anymore. I don't think you can get any Genesis with a manual transmission. And also, so in case you don't know, Genesis is now a like a sub brand of Hyundai, just like Lexus is a sub brand of Toyota. So back in these days, it was a model under Hyundai. So it was the Hyundai Genesis. You had the coupe, and you had the Hyundai Genesis sedan. And then around 2017, I believe, they spun off the whole brand. So now there's, you do have the Genesis, and then you have like the G70, the G80, and then the G90, and they also have a couple SUVs too. They're pretty expensive. You're probably not going to be finding any of those in this kind of price range. That's 2016 Malibu. It says 2,500. I see it's got a dealer plate, so that's probably a down payment. I mean, it's all it's worth. Yeah, total price is $17,995. Are you kidding me? A 16 that's 9 years old with 100K for an American car, and this is about as American of a car as it gets. It's done. It's worth, like, if you went to trade this car in, that's what you'd get. Like, that's insane that they think they can get 18 grand. Wow. A smart car. Oh, it's a good deal. Originally it was 475,000. Now it's only 4,700. Yeah, I don't know if anybody really even knows or cares about these things, but these were actually made by Mercedes. The M in smart is Mercedes. I forget what the rest of it is. These I'm not even sure if I've ever driven one. I know that I've at least sat in them before. But I think I had that radio once. From what I've heard, they drive pretty terrible. They have a really bad, clunky transmission. It's like an automated manual transmission that, like, there's like computers that shift the transmission, and it basically feels like you don't know how to drive a stick, from what I've been told. So that's really all I know about them. I don't know that they're horribly unreliable. They're definitely pretty unsafe because they're, like, so small. I've known two people that had this exact Sentra with CVTs, and both of them got well over 200,000 miles, and both of them were not necessarily maintained. They were maintained averagely, I would, at best. Certainly they were not abused, like they were not driven hard. So say what you will about them, it's a junky car that kind of takes you back to, I don't know, not a particularly great time for like car interior design and stuff like that. But I've seen at least two of these just kind of keep on trucking for over 200K. Definitely would not be paying 6,000 for it though. I mean, like, this is the kind of thing that, maybe 2,500 with under 87,000 miles, and you could kind of confirm that the CVT was still okay. Actually, did it have plates on it? It does have a plate. He's got it out of the shot. It did have a plate though. Definitely not a Rogue like this. These all have bad transmissions. Like, just no. Stay away from any of the earlier Rogues, especially. Probably bad trans. We've already looked at a couple of pilots. A 14 Accord Coupe with 200 for 55. I know it's an Accord. They're pretty good. This is another dealer of some kind, I think. 2 pictures. Yeah. Have we found anything yet that was like looked just kind of legit? What's this? They're showing keys in the title. Showing 2 keys in the title. Although 1 key is taped up. This is a Civic. Title R in hand. That's not. Is that an R title? Oh yeah, rebuilt right there. Rebuilt. Okay, so that means it's it was a salvage vehicle and then it was rebuilt into a car again. So that can mean a lot of things. That could, sometimes cars are totaled out for, too much hail damage or something. It doesn't really affect it, but it also could be that it was legitimately totaled and like a lot of serious damage was done and they botched it back together because it's a cheap car. It's not going to get done well. I mean, that's why it was totaled in the first place. So I would stay away from it. It does have a plate on it, and because I'm a nerd, I know that this plate is from, let's see, my E90 that I had in 2021. I think I got that car. I had EV was the numbers. So they've had this car for 3 or 4 years. So that is a plus. Wait, what is the? Can't see the date. Was it 115? Well, this right here says date issued 9/20/24. So that may not be. There's no plate on the front. There should be a plate on the front too. So that may not be a real legitimate plate for that car. So I would stay away from something that says it's a rebuilt title. $2013 RAV4. I don't think you get that for $2,000. We are excited to share that we offer financing options to everyone. Whether your credit history is good, blah, 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 blah. Down payment of $2,000. Yes, there you go. But they're saying that they are very easy to work with financing. So if you want to go in there and pay 30% interest on your 12-year-old RAV4 with 145,000 miles, it doesn't look too bad though. And it is a limited, so it's top of the line. I don't think that's real leather, but it's got the pleather seats. I don't know if you guys know this, but just in the last 4 or 5 years, cars stopped putting leather seats in their car. Manufacturers stopped putting leather seats in normal cars like this. Even if you get like an Avalon or a Highlander. So let's just say a Highlander, for example. In 17, we'll say, if you bought a Highlander XLE, it had real leather on the seats. But in 2022, if you bought an XLE, it looks like leather, it's the same kind of looking shiny material, but it's fake. It's whatever every brand with Lexus it's called New Lux. They have their names for it. The way you can tell if something is leather or not is if you kind of push your finger down on a spot, the leather will crinkle up. If it's fake, if it's just vinyl, it won't. It'll just stay smooth. So that's how you can tell if it's real leather or not. And and like I get it. Like why do we need to use animal skin on a throwaway vehicle? Maybe not necessarily the Toyota product, but like this. Okay, this Equinox right here. This is the LTZ, which might actually have had leather seats. Nope, they're all covered up. Anyway, kind of a throwaway car that's going to be just in the junkyard in 10 years. Why are we putting leather seats in this car? I get it if it's a Rolls Royce or, like our nicer vehicles, like, on the Lexus side, a lot of the vehicles still will offer leather, but it's usually not standard. They don't put cloth in them anymore or velour or anything like that. Everybody wants that like leather look, but it's not real leather. It's fake. I got a cargo van there. It's just it's okay. Let's see. I see a tag on it at least. I think it's another down payment. Yeah. This Ford Fusion's got 170,000 miles. That's just too high. I mean, like, yes, if you have one and it's still running good, keep it. Don't get rid of it because it has 175. But for someone that's looking for their first car and they're saving up, $5,000 to buy this, that car is probably going to drain them of another 2,000 or 3,000 in the first year or two, just in whatever has been deferred on this, whatever maintenance has been deferred on something like this. Let's take a look at this. This is a 2010 Highlander. I'm not going to be able to hear this. This had leather seats. It's got the V6. It has 260,000 miles, which is, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's nothing. 260,000 miles is, more than the distance to the moon. Or moon and back. I forget what it is. I guess it's just, one way. There's a lot of miles. There's a lot, like, when people say that it's just broken in, all this, yeah, we're joking, okay? This car could be, I mean, look how filthy this is. I mean, this car was not loved. This was used hard. Which it's what it's supposed to be. Looks like it's just the tire light that's on, at least right at the moment. Runs and drives fine, clean title in hand, in excellent condition. I mean, okay. Like, it's not, definitely isn't terrible. I was trying to see that tag. There was a tag on the back of it. Oh, door is open. Didn't we see the? I know I saw the tag. There it is. There's no stickers on it. There should be a sticker there. So I don't know what that's about. Yeah, see? No stickers. So that tag is fake. That's not a legitimate tag. They just threw that on there so they can fart it around to the gas station, put gas in it or whatever they're doing until they flip it. So I'm pretty sure this is a car flip. Look at the rotors. Look how much rust is on the rotors. This thing's been sitting a minute or two. Caliper's really rusty. This one looks okay. Excellent vehicle, but they want $5,200 for it. There's some mold on that. Oh wow, yeah. Look at the headliner. There's mold on that seat. I bet you. It looks like it's got a sunroof. I bet you that sunroof has leaked in the past. And yeah, no, this is not. This thing probably stinks. If you smell mildew and mold in a car, just walk away from it. The amount of money that it's going to cost to properly fix that is, you're probably looking at $5,000 just right by itself, because you're really going to need to replace all the carpet, all the padding. You're going to have someone come in there and scrape out all the mold that's on the floor. It's probably not worth it for whatever kind of car you're buying. So I would just say, you may just want to steer away from a car with a sunroof if you're in this cheaper category, because it is super common. It doesn't matter what brand it is. It's super common for the sunroof drains to get clogged. That's what I see more than anything else with sunroof issues. If you park your car under a tree, which is bad to begin with, but your sunroof drains, that dirt that just accumulates around everything on your car, it also seeps down into the sunroof channels and blocks the drains that are supposed to allow any rainwater to flow away from the car and the roof. Like they literally will, there's tubes that connect to those drains and are all the way down through the A-pillars to the body, to the ground. And when they get clogged, the only place the water can go is it'll overflow those channels, and it starts dripping on the headliner, and then it just works its way all the way down to the floor. Your carpet gets soaked. A lot of people don't notice this until it's too late. They don't, because a lot of times the water doesn't stay in the sunroof. It'll start dripping in there, but it immediately just runs all the way down to the floor, and they don't really notice it until maybe they happen to touch the floor and they realize this floor is soaking wet. The carpet is soaking wet. And then there's people that don't even notice that, and then what they do start to notice is the car is smelling like mildew. By the time the car smells like mildew, it's expensive. Your insurance, if you have full coverage on the car, a lot of times that will cover that. You just have to pay your deductible. But if you're looking at a car like this and you've got that mildew smell, I would just walk away, because it's probably going to cost a couple $1,000s to properly fix it at minimum, because pretty much the entire interior has to come out of the car. And, you could be spray bombing it with any kind of air freshener you want. The smell is just going to keep coming back. So, little bonus advice for you. Let's see. Is there anything? There's just nothing that looks particularly good. Everything has just got high miles. Let's look at the Prius. The Prius that still has snow on it in the picture. Guy's got 4 out of 5 stars. There's no description. No tags on it. I don't think it's a dealer. I think it's just a shop. Key not detected. It's got the nav. So, a lot of people will say that this is a third generation Prius. So you had the first gen was only about 2 or 3 model years. It was that little like sedan looking thing. It was like 2001 and 2003. Then there was a second gen, which I think most people think is the first gen because they forget about the first, that ran from 2004 to 2009. And then in 2010, you got the third gen up to 2015. This is the most common Prius on the road, or this was the best selling Prius. Like they kind of peaked around 2013, I believe it was. I would just probably stay away from the first 3 years. I would say don't do a 2010 to 2012. So that's 3 model years. Not that they're bad. These just had more issues than the later ones, from my experience. And this is kind of what I did at Toyota is hybrid repairs, a lot of that stuff. Not so much batteries were the issue with these. The issues that these cars have is the intelligent power module, or the IPM, which is it's one of the components inside of the hybrid inverter. They like to go bad. Now, the good news is that Toyota has an extended what they call like a customer support program on, I think, all of this generation of Prius, that you can get this fixed for free, up to, I mean, I think the cars generally can be up to 25 years old. I'm not 100% sure. I could look that up, but something to that effect. So if you have that issue go bad, you can get the car fixed for free. The not so good is that a lot of times the car just shuts down when this happens. Now, usually I think the people that have the car shut down and have to be towed to the shop, they just ignored it as long as they possibly could, because it'll just basically say, check hybrid system on the dash, and they probably just ignored it. Like, the car still works fine, I'm just going to keep driving it. And then basically it just, it got worse and worse and worse, to the point where the car was like, nope, we are not going to ready on anymore. And that's basically, when you start a hybrid, you know that it's on when the little ready light is on the dash. If you don't see the ready light, there's an issue. The other issue, or another issue with these cars, is the ABS pump, or the brake booster. I mentioned this in the last video. There was also a support program for these, but there's a mileage limit and an age limit, and I think at this point most of them are out of that. So if you get in and you're hearing like a loud buzzing noise, and all of your brake warning lights are on the dash, and when you hit the pedal it's pretty firm and doesn't feel like it's going to stop very well, you're looking at a several $1,000 repair out of pocket for that. If you're buying the car for $5,000, you're going to be putting another close to $5,000 into it to fix that. And there's other issues. This car also, this engine, although I didn't see it in the standard Prius as much as I saw it in what they call the Prius V, which was just a bigger version, more of a station wagon Prius. But these do like to blow head gaskets. Now with Lexus, the CT200H is very common to have the head gasket issue also, because that car is essentially a Prius. So, be mindful of that. If they have higher miles like this, 198,000, you may want to look at the coolant reservoir and see how it looks. I mean, obviously anybody can top off a coolant reservoir if it's low, but they will lose coolant. You're going to have misfires. So if you have like a P0300 or PO, any of the misfire codes, 301 to 304, it could be a head gasket issue. There were also issues with the EGR system with these that could cause similar type of codes, misfires, things like that. So a lot of Toyota techs will say that this is, one of the more unreliable Toyotas over the last, couple decades. But it's all just relative. If you're comparing it to another Toyota, if you're just comparing this to a regular Corolla, which is what this car is based on, with just the regular gas engine and no hybrid system, yes, it's much more complex, much more unreliable than that. But it's still a pretty good car, and I wouldn't really, if you're buying like a later one, like a 2014 or 2015, and it's in good shape, you can verify that it's had good service history, I would definitely take a chance on it. But for the right price and for just to stay away from the earlier, 2010, 2011, probably the most. I would stay away from those. Easiest way to tell, the wheels change a little bit. I think they had black alloy wheels. They still had the hubcap over the alloy wheel on hybrid stuff, Prius stuff. But if the rim is black underneath, then it's one of the later like facelifted ones that have a lot of the just seem to have some improvements. They don't seem to have as many issues as the earlier ones. I think we will maybe try to find one more, and I will end this one with that. Let's see. I really would like to find something. Definitely don't buy a Chevy Cruze. They are terrible. That's going to have that engine we don't like. What about this Accord here? This looks like it's a V6. Cruise through the streets in style with this sleek and sophisticated 2011 Honda Accord sedan in cool gray finish cars, not just blah, 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 blah. Wow, this is a lot. That's a lot of BS. It's a dealer. They couldn't even bother to polish the headlights at this dealer. That's how much they care. I mean, maybe it hadn't gone through detail. It looks really dirty. I don't know why dealers do this. Even sometimes our dealer does this. They take pictures of the car before it's even been detailed. Like, I don't even understand why you would do that. That may have been more at Toyota, though. The Lexus process is a little bit more streamlined than our used car manager says. If he's selling a Hyundai Sonata, it's got to be the best damn Hyundai Sonata in the area, because he's at a Lexus dealer. It can't just be any run of the mill, whatever fill in the blank car. I was gonna look at this Camry just because it's a Camry, but there's no plate on it, so I don't know. Let's see, XLE 4-cylinder. 4 cylinders, leather seats, sunroof, excellent condition. All right, so first thing I see is the back bumper is not painted. Well, the first thing I saw was it had no plate. It is an XLE with the sunroof, so again, you got to make sure that it doesn't smell like mildew inside, because it's very common for those to leak. These things, they had this wood grain that just looks so cheesy. Like, I don't know why they even bothered with that, because it wasn't fooling anybody. This is a time of, if Toyota had a low point, it was around this time, right around 2010. The Camry, the Corolla, the RAV4, just to, those three right there, which are like the bread and butter cars for Toyota, especially at the time, they really were not anything special in relative to, in relation to other Toyotas. If you look at like a 99 Camry and you look at this, yes, the 99 looks older, it doesn't have as much equipment, but just the overall build quality of the 99 over this, it was just a lot different. These cars have the 2AR FE 4-cylinder. Actually, the front bumper is not painted also. The tires look shot. They have the 2AR FE, the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. This is the same engine that is in my ES300H hybrid. It's not a bad engine, especially when it's in the hybrid cars, because hybrids use their engines very limitedly, if that's even a word. There's never a lot of strain on the engine in a hybrid, so they tend to last a lot longer in the hybrid than they do in a car where the engine is powering the car at all times. And in this year range, so 2010, 2011, because in the 2009, the pre-facelift of this car, they had the 2AZ, which is a whole other story. Those engines burned oil like a sieve. These engines also burn oil like a sieve. Maybe not quite as bad as the 2AZ, but they definitely burn oil. They definitely can have carbon buildup issues. I guess that's about it. But if you buy one of these, you got to make sure that you keep oil in it, because they do like to burn oil quite a bit when they have a little bit higher miles on them, and if they haven't necessarily had the best oil change history. This is when they started running synthetic oil in the cars, and they moved the oil changes to 10,000 miles. So if you're going to the dealer and you're just doing the recommended service, you're going to be changing the oil every 10,000 miles. And if you're like 90% of the customers that we had, that's going to be more like 12,000 miles, because, your maintenance light comes on and you're like, okay, I'll make an appointment soon. And by the time you get there, you're 1,000 miles over. And then you're going to be at 12,000 miles on your oil by the time you do the same thing for, the next service. Because they still want you to come in on 5,000 miles to do a tire rotation and a general vehicle inspection. Not everyone does that. I guess most people do. I think most people just think they're getting an oil change every time. They don't even realize that they're not. I'm not sure. So these cars were getting oil changed, 12,000 miles, 13,000 miles. And, by the time they get up to over 100,000 miles, they're pretty carboned up, sludged up a little bit. And they'll start burning oil. So that's just something to kind of look out for. If you can get a Camry with the 2GR V6, you're golden. You won't have any issues. It's a million-mile car. So yeah, I would say if you're looking at one of these, try to get it with the V6 and live a happy life. Probably not too bad, except for the fact that it clearly doesn't have paint on the front and the rear bumpers. It's going to need tires. It's probably got a smelly interior. And the price is, a little bit high, I think, for what it is. All right, guys. I think I'm going to end this one here. I kind of enjoyed doing this. I don't know if you guys do or not, but I can kind of just try to pour out some of the knowledge that I have stored in my brain about just certain cars, especially if they're Toyotas or, some of the other brands that I'm a little more familiar with. But it can be kind of challenging to find a cheap, good car these days. And I just kind of wanted to try to see if we can find a few and, to show people that there are a few out there. So anyway, if you found the video helpful, just give it a like, drop a comment down there, just giving me advice on maybe how to make another video if you didn't like this one. Whatever you want to do, anything that you do to interact with the video or with me, it helps get the video promoted. So I really appreciate that, and I will talk to everyone soon. All right, guys. Peace.